I also want to talk about an urgent matter in my home state of California that is extremely close to my heart. The San Onofre nuclear generating station is located near San Clemente, and 8.7 million people live within 50 miles of that site. This nuclear plant, which is currently offline, has experienced unexpected deterioration with the tubes that carry radioactive water in the plant's new steam generators. This situation could pose health and safety risks because if those tubes leak or rupture, they could release radiation at levels that exceed safety standards. I'm pleased that the NRC has undertaken an investigation regarding the problems at San Onofre. Today, I want to make certain, and I will be asking all of you, I want to make certain that the Commission continues to pay serious attention to this nuclear facility. Let me be clear. It is your duty to ensure that the appropriate actions are taken to address safety concerns related to the compromised tubes before San Onofre's reactors are permitted to go back online. The San Onofre reactors must not be restarted until the NRC's investigation is completed and the public has been assured of the plant's safety. The NRC was created, and I quote, to ensure the safe use of radioactive materials while protecting people and the environment, unquote. And the millions of people who live near San Onofre deserve to have peace of mind. It is critical that the NRC conduct this investigation at San Onofre in an open and transparent way. I'm very pleased that the Commission has scheduled a public meeting in California in October. Today, I want assurances that this meeting is on track and will take place. Let me just first say how much I appreciate every commissioner's comments. I particularly want to hone in on what Commissioner Apostolakis said, because what he said was very critical. He said that after he's examined everything that happened in Japan, and tell me if I state this correctly, Commissioner, that your opinion is there was a lack of a safety culture, that people didn't speak up to authority there, and that was the main problem. Am I correct in summarizing it that way?
Yes, Senator, you are.
Yes.
Please.
Well, I believe that is so important. It's what I wanted to hear. Because if you had said, well, it was one man who fell asleep on the job or some woman who walked out of the room, you know, that would be one thing. But I'm assuming you speak for the Commission on this. If any other commissioner disagrees with this, speak up now. Does anyone disagree with this, that there was a lack of a safety culture? So there seems to be agreement. This is a breakthrough for us here because it just underscores the importance of your work. And this renewed commitment I hear from all of you, I think I hear from all of you, to move forward, not just with rhetoric, but very specific rules that Commissioner Ostendorf cited, for example, that we must move forward. And you know, we are facing a situation in California, so I'm going to ask you if you each got the packet I gave you of letters from my cities that are near the facility. Yes, you've all gotten that. I hope that I can count on you, perhaps working with the chairman, to try and address these letters directly, and hopefully all of you can agree and you could all sign the same letter, but I would urge you, if you don't, then to write your own letter. Can I get, by showing me a nod, yes or no, that you will in fact work with the chairman, or if you can't get a community letter together, work individually to make sure that those letters are answered? Thank you. Beautiful. Okay, that's excellent. I will tell all my cities. City of Irvine is very, very sincere in their concern. They ask you to withhold permission to restart the plant until the NRC provides full assurance that Units 2 and 3 will not exhibit any of the current vibration, corrosion, and degradation problems during the remaining 10 years of license operation. So these are very hard letters. They're frightened over there because there's so many people that live so close to this area. And, you know, again, I've said this before, but when I asked the sheriff there, if there were to be some, God forbid, some tragedy, you know, how could people get away? She said, the highway, and you can't move on that highway. There's one highway in rush hour. So we have to consider in looking at this the risks that we take if it's not all right. So I will ask unanimous consent to place all of these letters into the record. Also, the Committee to Bridge the Gap did a report on San Onofre, and they're very concerned, and I'm going to again ask you if each of you will commit to me to review this report, and after you read it, would you be willing to please meet with my staff so that we can discuss it? Because they go into, this isn't rhetoric, this is page after page of specific worries. Can I get a reading from you all? Would you be willing to meet with my staff after looking at this? That is very good. Very good. Thank you for that. And again, if you meet first and the chairman can represent all of your views, you don't all have to meet, but just I want to make sure that I know where each of you is coming from on this. It's very key. Chairman Macfarlane, the media has quoted you as saying, quote, as a geologist, I know that geological knowledge is constantly changing and that understanding the cause of earthquakes is based on, quote, a dynamic set of knowledge which requires regular feedback and interaction. So what does this mean for safety, licensing, and license extension issues at nuclear plant? Do you believe it emphasizes the need to regularly review these risks and to consider this updated information in license and relicensing decisions?
I think actually it means that we should consider the updated information when it comes in, and that is the NRC's policy, to consider this information when it comes in. One of the recommendations from the...
Well, when you say when it comes in,
well,
I want to take issue with that. Suppose you have a plant that in 6 months is ready for the relicensing, and there's a study underway. It's not yet complete. It's going. I mean, I would hate to think that you say when it comes in. Who's responsible for getting it in?
Thanks for the clarification. What I'm referring to is, say, for example, if the USGS does an update of a seismic hazard analysis, then that is something that we should be considering. We shouldn't wait until a plant applies for relicensing. We should consider it right away.
Okay. So I just want to be clear here because I want to know what my role is. So do you see your commission as asking them to make these updated studies, or do you just wait until they do it?
No, in fact, we have just done an updated study
so you've asked
of the central and eastern U.S. We did that in conjunction with EPRI and the Department of Energy, and we just did a reanalysis of the seismic hazard in the central and eastern U.S., and another one is in progress for the western U.S.
We did it, meaning the NRC?
The NRC.
Along with the USGS?
It wasn't with the USGS. USGS provided some input, but it was with the Department of Energy and the Electric Power Research Institute.
So just that my mind is clear. What you're saying is, in your view, before you relicense, you want the most updated information on earthquake safety. If there is a situation where there hasn't been a study in 10 years, you'll move aggressively to get the latest information.
Certainly. And I also want to point out that actually one of the recommendations from the Japan Near-Term Task Force was to update and revisit seismic hazards and other natural hazards, look at the updated information every 10 years. So there's a recommendation for a periodic review, and I support that.
Good. That's excellent. And is there any dissent that ought to be done before a relicensure? Any dissent at all? This would be the moment. Okay. And I also think it's important to look at the demographic changes. How does the population change around the plant? Sometimes these plants have a boom in growth, sometimes they don't. But I just would urge you to look at all those factors. So now I'm going to ask some questions that are related to the experience that we're going through in California with the shutdown of San Onofre. Chairman Macfarlane, the tubes on steam generators act as a barrier to the release of radioactivity that could endanger workers and the public if the tubes were to burst. Nuclear facilities have other systems that, if they fail, could also release radioactive material. Does the NRC automatically require a plant to amend its license if the plant makes a major structural change to one of these systems? Would you support the NRC examining whether plants should go through a license amendment process when they make such major structural changes to a plant?
The NRC has an oversight program that validates the day-to-day safety at the site. In terms of the steam generators, it's generally a licensee's business decision whether or not to change the generator. And I'll note that 55 out of 69 pressurized water reactors in this country have actually changed their steam generators.
I guess my question...
I know. Can I?
Yeah, but because it's sort of two questions. The first question is, does the NRC automatically require a plant to amend its license if the plant makes a major structural change to one of these systems?
If a steam generator is changed under our 5059 process, we allow licensees to change their steam generators without a license amendment, as long as they assure us that they have not introduced any accident scenarios, additional different accident scenarios into the system. Then we don't do a design review of the steam generator.
Well, my concern is you have this plant that made this huge change, and it's led to a shutdown. So would you support the NRC examining whether plants should go through a license amendment process when they make such a major structural change? Because right now you've said you don't have to under your rules. Would you take a look at that, you and your fellow commissioners?
I think we certainly, and the staff will certainly, they usually do this kind of thing after a situation like this that we have at the San Onofre plant. We do reflect, and it won't happen right away. We have to continue through the process, but we will look and see what lessons we can learn from this and whether we do need to implement any changes. So we will consider this.
Well, let me humbly suggest that this not be something that's put on the back burner, commissioners, because what's happening now in California is we've lost an important source of power, very important source. The community, and I have to compliment Commissioner Magwood when he said what happens when the community loses faith. We can't let that happen. And I'll tell you, it's been terrible on the utility. I mean, they feel terrible about what's happening, and they spent a fortune. How much did they spend? Do you remember? It was hundreds of millions. Several $100 million were spent, and there's a problem. So I would like to ask you to not give me an answer today, but at our next oversight hearing, I'm going to ask if you would consider examining the lessons learned already. We already know what happened. We already know that they didn't have to get a new license to make structural change, and we already know what happened. And it was terrible for the people in the community. It was terrible for the utility, and we still don't know exactly why this occurred, but I don't think you should wait in respect, I would say, out of concern for others in our nation, including the utilities themselves, the business people themselves, everybody, because it's already clear that they should have had your expertise take a look at this change. Now, maybe they wouldn't have found anything. Maybe your great staff wouldn't have found it, but I have a lot of confidence in them, as you do, and you all do, that they might have said, just a minute, this is a problem. So I'm going to ask you not now to commit to anything, because I want you to think about it. Maybe I'm being too cautious, but I feel, or we know enough about San Onofre. How many months has it been closed down already? Since the beginning of the year. And this is, I forget the percent of power that comes out of this. It's not insignificant. It's pretty significant in the area. So we're missing that. 10% maybe, and nuclear is 20%. So in that area, it could be as much as 10%. So this is serious business. And I think it underscores, I would say on this committee, I'm one of the people that really is pressing hard every minute to make sure there's safety, because I do agree with what Senator Alexander said, for sure, that if people, he says every time we have a meeting, people get more confidence in, nuclear power. I would say if they were listening to this committee hearing, they would. I don't think it's true about all the meetings we've had in the past, but I think we're in a different ground now. We're in different leadership now. We're in a different circumstance here. I somehow feel we're all pulling for the same thing. This is important. And I just would like to see us not sit back when we've already had this problem in California. It's real. And I hope all of you talk about it at your next meeting when you talk to each other. Maybe there's something you could put in place right now, an oversight review to see when somebody's making a real change that you get to have your good staff look at it. They may not catch a problem, but they may well catch a problem. And also, I think Commissioner Magwood really said something important before the House Energy and Commerce Committee in July. He was asked what design and manufacturing flaws with San Onofre's steam generators were not detected before the generators were turned on. And you said, quote, so when you have an outcome that's not satisfactory, you have to take a look at the process. And I think we should take a look at the process and see if there's something we can improve. And I appreciate that. And so I want to bring that to the Chairman's attention because, you know, as you look at, because I didn't ask you today for your answer, but it seems to me you could avoid a lot of these problems when there's a major change to a plant before the utilities invest hundreds of millions of dollars. There really should be a new reg. So I hope you'll take a look at that, and we'll discuss it the next time. Chairman Macfarlane, in my opening statement, I talked about the fact that there's an open meeting scheduled in the San Onofre community for October. Is that firm, and is that happening? And who do you expect will be there leading that open process?
The meeting is set for October 9th. We are ironing out the final details of that. And the way that the meeting will go, it will be in two parts. There will be a roundtable discussion with 10 or 12 representatives from a variety of groups. And then the second half will be a public comment period,
okay. And who the commissioners will be there?
The commissioners will not be there. We will have, it will be facilitated by two NRC staff people. There will be the Region 4 regional administrator, I believe, will be there, and there will be a representative from my office as well.
Okay.
I am very dedicated to ensuring that the agency communicates very well with the public.
Okay. So who will brief all the commissioners about the results of that hearing? Who will do that? Whose responsibility would that be?
The staff is responsible to do that, and we will have either somebody from Region 4, the Region 4 office who was at the meeting come. For example, yesterday the regional administrator from Region 4 came by my office to give me the latest update on the San Onofre facility. So, and I asked him specifically what was going to happen at this meeting. So we are in very close communication on this issue.
So can I just ask commissioners as a group, would you commit to being briefed by the staff, all of you, not to go, but to be briefed by the staff? Does everybody say yes? Yes. Yes. Good. The other point I made in my opening statement is that I want to make sure that your investigation into the problems has been completed and that you are convinced that it is safe to operate that plant. Do I have your commitment that that is your aim, that you will not restart that plant until you believe it is safe?
Yes, absolutely.
And that all the commissioners, if any commissioner has a problem with the safety, that you will listen to those commissioners as well?
Absolutely.
Okay. Chair Macfarlane, in February, I wrote to the NRC about safety issues at San Onofre plant, including the rapid deterioration of tubes that carry radioactive water. I asked the NRC to comprehensively review and address safety concerns at the plant. In July, the NRC issued an interim report that you were augmenting inspection of the San Onofre plant. What is the NRC's understanding of the causes of the problems at San Onofre, and how will the NRC address all of the safety issues at the plant?
The NRC is still working to understand the causes, and we are waiting for the licensee to respond to our confirmatory action letter.
Explain what you mean by confirmatory action.
When these problems occurred with the plant, we issued, with agreement from the licensee, a confirmatory action letter saying that they would shut down the facility and work on understanding the root causes of this problem and then develop a way forward. And so we are awaiting their response to this letter, where they tell us their understanding of the root causes of this problem.
And they have not sent such a letter?
No, and we understand. In talking with the licensee, I talked with them 2 days ago. They came by and visited. They told me that they will be sending this letter by the end of the first week in October.
Have you heard that they want to start up parts of this plant?
I understand that there are 2 reactors there, Unit 2 and Unit 3. I understand that Unit 3 will likely be shut down for some time, unspecified. I know that the licensee is planning to remove the fuel from the reactor at Unit 3 this month. So Unit 2 is the reactor that is in play at the moment and for which they will respond to the confirmatory action letter with their explanation of what caused the problem with the steam generator tubes and a way forward.
Hang on. It's my staff's understanding that 2 and 3 have similar problems. Is that your understanding?
Yes, there are similar problems with the tubes. The tubes in 3 had more problems, more significant damage than the tubes in 2.
But is your understanding they have similar problems?
Yes.
I'm assuming, because the rumors that we're hearing is that they plan to start up in October, but you haven't even gotten the letter back.
No, that's not correct.
So you can say unequivocally that Unit 2 is not going to be restarted by October.
Oh, yes, absolutely. When we receive, let me explain the process. When we receive that letter from them, then it will take us some time. I can't tell you how long. It will be longer than days and weeks. It will be on the order of months to understand whether they have understood well enough the root causes of the problem and to understand whether what their plan forward is, if it is going to provide the adequate safety. We will not let this plant start up unless we are absolutely convinced that it is safe to operate. Let me please assure you.
Well, that is music to the ears of the people in California, and I'm very appreciative. Is there any dissension from that by commissioners? Well, that's very important. Chairman Macfarlane, the Union of... I'm sorry, did you wish to comment?
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to add one comment. I agree with everything Chairman Macfarlane said, but I wanted to highlight this is a very complex technical problem.
Yeah.
And Terry Horner from your staff joined me on a visit to the plant July 22nd. We spent several hours there looking at what they're trying to do to bracket this flow instability problem. And I just want to highlight, in echoing Chairman Macfarlane's response, this is a very complex problem. It's one that we've not seen before at plants in the United States, and it's one that's going to require significant NRC staff technical evaluation, depending upon what the NRC receives from the licensee, but we don't know what that is at this stage. So it's
Well, I so appreciate the caution here, and it makes me feel comfortable that you are doing everything to make sure this is safe. That's why I so believe that doing what Commissioner Magwood suggested in front of the House, that we take another look at your regulations, because what a shame that this money was invested in a way that turned out to be so wrong for the plant. Hundreds of millions of dollars, and that could have been, maybe it could have been stopped had the NRC staff taken a look at this. We don't know all the details, but it's a puzzle. And, again, as I think about everything that's happened since Fukushima, almost the irony of this situation, and I know that the mindset of the commissioners, I believe this today, is that this culture of safety has to be the centerpiece of what you do before you restart this plant. And it just means everything. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to give confidence to people going forward. My people in California are counting on you. You stand in such an important place in their lives right now. I mean it, because I don't have the expertise that you are going to have on this California plant. And I'm going to monitor the public meeting. My staff will be out there. And I really want to thank my staff and all the staffs here, both sides of the aisle, for helping us get ready for today. And we stand in adjournment, and we'll see you soon. Thank you very much.